I'd say like among the pro tour, you're known as just the guy. You're the Nadal of pickleball in that like no matter what the score is, you're playing it like it's match point.
Uh,
Like how
I
did
thought I
you
was
how
I
did
thought I
you
was I thought I was known as the Nadal of pickleball because of my biceps, but I'll take that as a compliment, I guess.
yeah, good one, Dre. Um
So there was a college pickleball tournament recently, and across the entire tournament, they used 600 total balls. Out of 600, there were only three that cracked, and apparently none were out of round. When I heard that, I was like, this needs to be talked about. Komodo BioBalls last 5 times longer than the average ball, but they're also biodegradable, so even if they do crack and end up in a bush somewhere, not a problem. Check out the Komodo BioBalls at komodopickleball.com. Links in the description. Zane, where are you right now? Zane Ford? Dude, I gotta figure this
I'm in
out.
Boca Raton,
dude,
Florida.
this is going to be rough. You've got to specify. When I came into the scene, I was baby Zane because there was another Zane. There was Zane Affleck. So, dude, I feel like we got to get you a nickname or me a nickname like stat.
Yeah. I mean, you can just call me Ford. I go by Ford a lot too, so I'm okay with that. You
I
know.
feel like for purposes of this podcast, like it's gonna get ugly if we are just going Zane and Zane.
I know we're both going to be responding.
But dude, we're giving the people what they want in San Clemente. You know,
Let's give it to him.
everybody has been talking about the Zane Dream Team. I don't know if
Let's
anybody's been talking about it, but we're giving the people what they want. So you guys
let's do
set the
it.
calendar for mid June. I'm stoked
Let's
about
do
it.
it. I'm excited,
So
dude.
you play with like a. I feel like the best way to describe your game is like violent in doubles. It's like I've been watching you play, and you'll be playing the right side, but like a return will come, and you'll be like scooching your butt towards your partner, trying to get a forehand from like their side of the court, which is like normally what the left side guy will do. The left side guy
Yeah.
will come over and take a forehand. Like,
Yeah.
dude, what are you doing out there?
Yeah. To be honest, sometimes I don't even know. Like I'm just going out there, and when I first started playing, it was all singles for me. And coming from tennis, that's really all I was focused on. And then as I started to keep playing, I was learning the doubles, and I'm still learning. Um, but I just figured I have to play like a crazy aggressive style and not overthink it almost. And then I can slowly start to dial it down and make less unforced errors and kind of figure it out. That's kind of been my game plan now. It's just, I guess, be violent. I like that. I like that word for my game style, I guess.
I feel like it's just descriptive of it, dude. I don't know.
I
It's
think
like
so. That's a good one. Good
it's
word.
yeah, I feel like you demonstrate athleticism on the doubles court more than anybody. And like
Well, thank
it's a
you.
little chaotic, like it's a little violent, but like it's entertaining to watch in my opinion. I feel like we need more of that athleticism. But you
Well,
mentioned
thanks.
that you were like a solid tennis player. What was your tennis background?
Yeah, I started playing tennis when I was 7. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so I was started playing up there. When I was 14, I kind of moved on my own without my family or anybody up to Naples, Florida, and that's when I went to a boarding tennis academy called Gomez, and pretty much it was 6 days a week, 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. You get your phones taken, only tennis. That's your life. You do school at 12, and that was my life, man. And I did that. I got to like a blue chip recruit for my recruiting class. And then I was traveling the whole world for the ITF tour for the juniors. I got to 137 in the world for that. And then I started playing pickleball and here I am. And I never could have seen it coming, but I love it. I love it so much. It's great.
Wait, what? So, how long ago were you at this academy?
I'm 20 now. I left there when I was 17. I stopped playing tennis at 18.
Okay, I read that you chose pickleball over some like college tennis scholarships. Is that true? If
Yeah.
so, what schools did we turn down to go full-time pickle?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it turned down. It was more I took 5 or 4 official visits. I visited University of Illinois, Ohio State, University of Miami, and there's one more that I'm
Hold
forgetting.
on, University of Miami or Miami University? Very
The
important.
one in Miami, Florida. I know there's one in Ohio.
Yeah, dude, that one's sick.
Yeah, so I tried that one out. I didn't love it. I don't know. I didn't love it. But yeah, so Ohio State was my go-to. I liked it there. I'm from Pittsburgh. It wasn't too far. It was a little bit cold. Didn't love that. So then I went over to try out to Miami. Didn't vibe with the team much. I'm kind of a crazy guy sometimes, so maybe they didn't love that. And then and then yeah, dude, I kind of just grew out of tennis and I found pickleball. My dad started playing pickleball and I was like, what is this, dude? And when I started playing, I loved it, and now my full life is pickleball. So
Well, dude, you had some good foreshadowing. We'll get to the craziness, but I want to dive into the tennis just a little bit more. So you're
yeah,
at 137 in the world is that the juniors ITF?
yeah, yeah,
Um, and you decided to like walk away from it because I mean that's super promising. Were you
yeah,
burnt out of tennis? Because you said you haven't really played too much since you were 18.
yeah. I mean, I got to 137. I didn't play my last year of ITFs of the juniors, so I probably could have got a little bit further as well. There was a lot going on in my life. My dad got diagnosed with stage 4 throat cancer, and I just was in a bad spot mentally, and honestly, in tennis too, it takes a toll on you. Not a lot of people talk about that. And I think pickleball does as well. When you're out there alone on anything, the emotions that get to you, when you're so passionate about something, it can really break you down. And I think that kind of happened to me in tennis, where I kind of got, I just didn't enjoy it as much. And then when I found pickleball, I told my parents like, hey, if I'm going to make this switch, I'm going to do it the right way, and I'm going to go all the way and try to be number one in the world. And that's what I've been doing now. And it was a really risky move, and I think it still is. But I could be in school right now, but I kind of just fell in love with the game of pickleball. If I didn't find pickleball, I'd definitely be in college somewhere in tennis for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Okay,
you
wait.
know.
So how long ago this I don't know if this was like a true conversation that you had or was like a moment in time where you're like, all right, I'm going for it. But when you actually made that switch, how long ago was that?
I started playing when I had that conversation. I remember I was sitting down, I think it was the end of 2023, start of 2024, if I remember correctly. Then I started going on the APP tour. I was learning. I had a couple quarterfinals. I was getting a little bit of confidence. And then as I kept progressing, I started to play some PPAs, took a lot of losses, and then I got one run. I think that's all you need is you get a little bit of run, you get a little bit of respect and confidence, and I think that's you can kind of be a new guy on the tour, and I think you're going to see a lot more of that from other players coming up this year, and especially the younger guys. There's a lot of promising younger players too that are out there right now, so it's exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah, so when did the leg sleeves come into play?
What'd you say? Sorry.
When did the leg sleeves come into play?
Oh, I saw Jay DeVilliers rocking them and Andre. I felt like I had to, I wanted to look just as cool as them. So I had to throw those on. And Leo Rivet, they sponsor me. They're Jonathan, the owner, he's a great guy. To be honest, they really helped my game. Like, I didn't believe in them at first. I was just wearing like the shorter ones, but I never wore them in tennis. I don't think I ever would have. But when I started wearing them one day, my body was hurting. I put them on, and to be honest, like a lot of the soreness went away, and I've just been wearing them ever since, like for recovery reasons. And I think I've kind of grown. The look has grown on me over time. So, yeah,
Listen,
Dude,
this is a judgment-free zone, dude. You could just say it looks dope and I want to look cool. That's
let's
that's
go,
okay.
baby.
I I like those. I caught so much shit when I was wearing them because I had some nicknames other than Baby Zane. I got called Peter Pan because I wore these tights all the time, and let's see, there was
Are you gonna
Gum
Elastigirl, which I didn't
Gumby?
really like.
Oh, yeah,
are,
yeah.
I got
are you gonna
Gumby
bring those
too.
out again for San Clemente?
All right, yeah, I will.
Do a
We'll
uniform,
coordinate on
yeah.
that.
There we
Yeah,
go.
Um,
yeah,
but no, for real, they really do make you feel better. Like the
They do,
compression, like
100%.
you stay warmer, and I feel like you recover better. You don't like, I don't know, you don't get as sore. So I really need to get back
100%. Yeah.
into wearing those. Those are great. So you wanted to look great, and then you said, "Look, Jay, Andre, you guys look dope, but I'm gonna go ahead and one up you. Let me put on these glasses that don't have any
yeah.
lenses in them. Like, take us through that, dude."
The
Yeah.
kitchen blockers.
Yeah. So kitchen blockers. Great company. I love them. I with the way I play, like honestly, when I threw those on, Ryan Sherry, I was practicing with him, and we were playing with this one guy. He had a really delaminated paddle, and it was just coming off really fast. He was like, "Hey, dude, put these on," and we were indoor. So I threw them on. And I'm like, "What are these? Like, how does it work with no lenses?" So then, to be honest, after I realized that, okay, these are still going to protect your face, and I'm not going to have any issues with, you know, getting hit in the eye or seeing the ball. You know, I can't wear anything with the lens. So I thought they looked cool. I thought I could pull them off. And the company's great and I love them. And I think it's something that I want to support more is just, you know, being safe out there on the court because, you know, I've known a lot of people that have gotten hit and it's, you know, you can end your career like that or just your life, you know, you don't, it would be horrible. So with the way I play and I'm moving in, I love them and they make me feel confident. So a lot of people have mixed reviews on the way they look, but I think they look super cool.
Dude, you ended up in the best dressed like
There we go. Let's
twice
do
now in
it.
the last month.
Okay.
We don't. We've got somebody on the team who writes those. I'm like, oh, Zane Ford. He just he's on a hot streak right now. Just
Um,
most swag on tour.
all right. I like that. I'm trying.
Hey, so question about those glasses.
Yeah.
If Jaume sucker punched you, would they like block that or
It's
what?
a good question. Everybody
100%.
wants to know.
Yeah, they definitely would. I mean, they were designed by snipers is actually to be more focused. So I would hope they would protect me.
So, dude, we got to chat about that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so I would say Jaume generally is like known as like a happy-go-lucky
Yeah.
dude, and he's really
Yeah.
well liked by most people
100%.
on tour. Like, so initially, you know, the first thing that came out was the big argument that you guys got into after the match. Then I saw a clip of Jaume at that 10-4. He did look like he was headhunting on you at that point. I don't know the context that led up to that,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
from your perspective, like what's up? And you guys hash it out afterwards, or we got beef here?
Oh no, there's no beef, dude. I mean, Jaume and I, to be honest, I haven't known him that long. It's been probably I'm new to the 6-0 team. I'm new to the tour. You know, Jaume and I have probably known each other for about a month now, and we're both very competitive guys. And I think just that we're kind of similar. I think, right? Like he's a great, really nice, funny guy. I think I'm a little bit more serious on the court, where sometimes I you know, I can kind of get in my own head and even beat myself. And at 10-4, I think he was just going for like, you know, a big shot, maybe get posted on the PPA body bag. And it got to me a little bit. And, you know, after the match, we were having words. And to be honest, for me, I try to forget, you know, what's on the court is on the court. And we already worked it out off the court. So there's no beef there. You know, I think it's just we're both competitive guys and we both want to win and we're passionate about the game, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
But what
would. Oh, go
happened?
ahead.
What? Like, how did that transpire? And what were you guys saying to each other?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think when honestly, my body was hurting. I'm a very loud player. Like, you know, sometimes I think I can get people might not love it when I'm on the court, you know, and when I'm yelling and to be honest, it's really just for me where I need to pump myself up. I need that energy for me to play well. And my body was really hurting in that match. You know, we had a really hard match against Paulo and Kwong. My body was tired. My legs were cramping up. And, you know, to be honest, it was 10-4. Match was over. And you know, he took a big swing, and then I was like, hey, next time, you know, aim at the chest. And he said I was going to aim at your glasses. You know, and he was aiming at the glasses. That's what he told me. And you know, look, he's a funny guy. I think it shouldn't have went that far. And to be honest, I need to learn how to control myself more, especially in a professional environment. And obviously there was a little bit of tension. We're both on the same team. We both want to be the best players out there, but you know, there's only so much you can do out there. You know, you're on the same team, but you both want to win. So it's kind of tough.
But you mentioned you guys hashed it out afterwards.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I sent him a text like 30 minutes after, and I just told him, dude, I overreacted, and you know, I'm sorry, my man, and we're all good. I'm sure I'll see him probably Wednesday, Thursday in Dallas. So can't. It's tough. It's such a small world, dude. You can't have beef with any of these guys because it's such a small world, and you know, at the end of the day. I'm fortunate enough to be playing pickleball full time now and doing what I want to do, and I think it's a great thing. So just trying to
Yeah,
stay, and I'm
absolutely.
a newer
Well,
player too, so I don't want to be, I can come off a little bit hard sometimes, or like, just out there, and I try to separate it from on the court and off the court.
for sure. It is kind of tough as one of the newer guys too. Like there's always a bit of a standoffishness from the established players with the new guys. I don't know how much it's intentional, but it's like, "Oh, I don't know this guy and he's like yelling and screaming. I don't like him." Right? Like we've
Yeah,
seen that with Christian, we've seen it with Will Howells, which like I've gotten to know Will, and Will is like the nicest dude.
yeah.
Like obviously I've been teammates with him and it's been awesome, but like when people come in and they're unknown and they're loud, there is like a oh shit, I don't know about this guy sort of moment. Like how are you navigating that
Yeah,
given your your natural personality? Like you're a loud,
yeah.
intense dude.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think as a newer player, a lot of it is intimidation, right? Like when I started on the APP and I wasn't as loud, and I started to find my own confidence. And I think that ties into my confidence, as if I can be playing Federico Stacksrud and be as loud as possible, I'm pretty much telling him, but not towards him, for myself, I'm pretty much saying, you know, I'm here, I can do this to myself. I'm here, I can do this. And, I want to win. And you can't, it's tough not to put these players on a pedestal, especially when, you're seeing them on the TV, and for any new players out there, it's tough to break in. It's so tough to break in because a lot of it is just confidence and ego, in my opinion. And I think that's why if you look at Christian Alshon or Will Howells, um, they kind of got that respect from the results as well. Where I think now they're kind of understood more overall as a player that's a louder player. And yeah, overall, it's just like as a newer player like myself and somebody that's still learning the game, I think a lot of it is just going out there and competing to your best ability and being able to fight, being able to battle every point. And for myself, and I think a couple other players, being loud like that just gets you pumped up. It can help you a lot more than I think than you know. I mean, I played a singles match on in Cape Coral, and I wasn't loud, I wasn't myself, and I lost that match because I almost felt like I wasn't competing. So I told myself in the doubles, I'm going to bounce back. I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be loud. I'm going to be fighting no matter what the circumstance is. And it's tough for me to find that middle ground, right, where I'm still calm. I'm still doing everything, and I think that can come off the wrong way on some people. And I'm just trying to be myself and stay true to me and what I've done from my tennis days and how I've grown up. And it's a tough world. Not everybody's going to love you. And obviously, you can't really care what anybody else thinks about you. But for me, I just want to be out there and be the best player I can be and try to be number one in the world. I mean, that's my main goal. So I think
Yeah,
that's the way I can get there.
cool. You're only 20. You sound
Yeah.
pretty mature. Any media training over there at the Gomez Tennis Academy?
Yeah, I've had a lot of it. I've done when I was playing on the ITF tours. I've done a lot of media stuff, so it's definitely helped me out. And I'm still learning. So sometimes I may make a slip up when there's mics around.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. Sometimes you
You got
get
to keep
caught
it
on
real though,
yeah,
dude.
get you a court
gotta
hot
keep it
mic.
real.
Got
Gotta
to keep
keep
it
it
real.
real.
You can't be too trained.
No, no, no,
Um,
you can't.
I just
Where are
had
you living right now?
I'm in Fort Myers, Florida.
Okay. Anybody over
Yeah.
there that you're able to train with?
Yeah, I train with my coach Davison Kozowski. He coaches Megan Fudge and her husband Ryler. There's a couple other players. Ryan Sherry's up there. There's a small little group. There used to be more, but they all kind of went over to the other coast. So
Yeah. What tell me about your goals on tour, singles and doubles. What do you want to be? You have any like you ever write down any goals? You kind of have something in the back of your mind like what's the best case scenario for you?
yeah, it's funny. I remember. I'll just go back a little bit in November. I think that was when the Worlds was, if I remember, the Dallas Worlds. I was playing in the APPs like that month. I played the same tournament. I was like, I think I lost in the quarterfinals of singles, good match. And I told myself, I need to go for this. I need to go for the PPA. I want to prove myself to everybody that I can go out there and win with the best players. So I went to Worlds. We played Ben Johns and Colin Johns in doubles, and we had a good showing. It was good to get to play them, and that's really when I really just went for this, and I kind of just went all in. And I told myself, obviously by 2026, I wanted to be MLP. In all the PPA main draws, doing everything. So to be honest, my realistic goals for this year, I've already hit, which is great. And my goal, to be honest, at the end of this year, I think realistically, I want to be top 10 or probably top 5 in singles and at least top 20, top 25 in both of the other events. I mean, I've been putting in the work. I think Zane and I are going to do some damage in San
Hell yeah,
Clemente.
brother.
We're going to be a deadly duo, the double Zane. And I've been putting in the work and I've been studying the game on and off the court. And I think a lot of that's the biggest part is just learning it. And I'm still learning, right? Honestly, every match I learn, whether that's singles, doubles, and my goal is to be the best player in the world in
Mhm.
the next 2 years overall. That's what I
Well,
want to do.
dude, your goal was to get on an MLP team. You didn't realize you were going to be the headliner for your MLP team, dude. You
No,
you were
I
the
did.
first pick. Isn't that
Yeah.
wild?
It was amazing. Yeah, I mean, thank you to the Hustlers for giving me that opportunity and Corey and uh, it's exciting. I want to go out there. That was honestly that was my main goal. I thought if I got an MLP and I could do it, I get to play the best guys and that's what I get to do. I get to play with Donald Young. He's a beast. He's lefty. It's really exciting. So it was really good news. You were the first text that I got.
Was I really?
Yeah. You said congrats, Zane. I was like, oh, am I on the fives? I didn't know.
Oh, no way. So you didn't know it was they didn't even like text you or
No. Well,
anything
they
right
did. They
away?
did. They did. But it was right after.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. 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 So.
Sorry to break the news to you, dude. I thought
No, it was
people were
good.
on it.
You said congrats, so I was like, obviously, I got picked somewhere. So I was happy.
Nah, dude, that seems like a good fit. I had one more random question, but
Yeah.
there was some speculation. People will wonder about the extreme grip, right? Like, so you have what grip are you holding from your forehand at the kitchen? From the baseline, it seems like it's a semi-Western, right? Or
Wait, do
even
you
a
have a
little bit.
paddle? Do you have a paddle in your within reach?
I got the ruby.
All
So what
All
were
right.
you
right.
asking? Sorry.
So you have, it seems like from the kitchen line, a pretty extreme grip. What are you holding there? What are you holding at the baseline as your like
Yeah.
primary grip?
Yeah, I mean, on my serve, I'm using a semi-Western or maybe a little bit more extreme. And then really for my forehand, when I have time, the more extreme I can go, the more spin and the more drop I get on the ball. And I can accelerate a little bit more. But when I have less time, for example, when I'm in the transition
Wait,
zone,
show us as you're talking through it.
how do I show it? Can I flip this camera?
No, that was good. How you held it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is how I'm holding it for pretty much everything, which is, it's like semi-Western. You kind of see it here. It's like a semi-Western where it's
Oh, and
the
then I'll
paddle head
turn.
is flat when I make contact with the ball. Um, when I go to the transition zone, I move from here a little bit to like an Easternish, still kind of creeping on the semi-Western.
Hmm.
And when I get to the kitchen line, when I have complete time, that's when I go straight to the full semi-Western, and I kind of
Hmm.
just I'm always sliding around my grip now. For a while I was just using one, which is semi-Western, but I've been really just trying to change it. Almost every shot, I'm using a different grip, whether it's a continental, Eastern, a semi-Western, or even a full Western. I'm trying to differentiate my game to where I can still do the flicks, the rolls, and still be able to speed up off the bounce. And that's where the semi-Western kind of helps me out, is that I can still get that spin and be deceptive with the ball. So, but like I said, I'm honestly still learning and experimenting with what I think is the most beneficial for my game. And then
Yeah.
sometimes the semi-Western is a little bit too extreme, where you don't have enough time to bring that paddle back and get the ball under, or the paddle under the ball. So
Yeah. So when your opponent is about to hit, what grip, and you're at the kitchen, what grip are you holding as like your base grip? Because I totally
semi-Western.
understand. Semi-Western is the start. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm start there and then I slide left or right with the paddle. So I'm always sitting here so that I can kind of counter and get under the ball. And I'll just slide it. Like I'll literally just flip it around like this. So I'm always starting semi-Western.
Gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, like I was saying, one of the things that people were speculating about or worrying about was the extreme grip, right? The other main example that we have of somebody who's holding a semi-Western most of the time is Riley Newman. And
Yeah.
people at first were like, it seems to help his game. He's got the nasty pancake and everything, but one of the issues that he has a lot of times is being really offensive with that forehand side, which has always kind of surprised me because to me, I feel I like a semi-Western for speeding
Yeah.
up off the bounce. So, what are your thoughts on that forehand side from you? Like,
Yeah, I mean, the further you are in the grip, in my opinion, is you're just going to get a little bit more spin and less power. But the best part about that is that you can accelerate as fast as you want because you're going to get that top spin from hitting the back of the ball. And I think honestly, my forehand in semi-Western, I'm getting a lot of power on that. Maybe the 6-0 Ruby helps me with that a little bit, but I've watched Riley Newman play a lot. It seems like he's a little bit further than me on the
yeah,
grip, actually, to
it
where
might almost be like almost like
it's
full Westernish.
yeah. So that's where it's like I kind of try to stay away from going too far because when you go too far, you're not able to really get that much power on the ball. I think Kwong's a little bit further than me as well on the forehand. So if you watch, it looks like he has to get under the ball a little bit more. And like
Mhm.
I've just been experimenting with it, man. I'm still trying to figure out like, is it too far? Is it a little bit? Should I go a little bit less? And I think it just really depends per shot on what you should do. So I like sitting on the forehand counter. I think with the grip I get a lot of power. So I
Yeah,
recommend other people to start experimenting with it for sure.
I like the unpredictability of it as well. Like
Yeah,
your
yeah.
opponents just don't know where you're sitting. You don't want to be stagnant. You don't want to be predictable. So I'm on board with it.
What grip are you? Are you using a semi-western? You're using Eastern.
I use a semi from the baseline,
Yeah.
and on drives, and but from the kitchen, I'm pretty much continental
Really?
unless I've got time, I'll switch it to an Eastern ish,
Yeah.
or if it's really
Yeah.
sitting, I'll go to the semi-Western.
Yeah. Huh, cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
Tommy,
Interesting.
you got a blind ranking you want to do, or no?
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you 5 paddle brands.
Okay.
Each time I name one, you got to choose where it ranks 1 to 5 without knowing what I'm gonna say next.
What am I
1,
ranking it by?
4, or 5. Just like your general perception of the paddle, if you would use it, just like do you like the brand, right?
Okay.
We're
Cool.
gonna go no 6-0 and no
Okay.
Pro XR. I can't have any influence, any bias creeping in here. So let's see. Ready for the first one?
I'm ready.
Paddle Tech.
1.
Damn. Okay.
Uh,
Starting off hot.
Bread and Butter.
5.
Ooh. Those things look sick, dude. You really get man. Okay.
Yola.
I'm more of a, I'm not a brag guy. I'm not a brag guy.
Yola.
2.
Rhombus.
4.
Proton.
3.
I feel like that's a pretty decent list. How do you feel about that list?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, the reason I chose Paddletech is just because I don't need much power. So I don't really love the flying paddles. I don't love that. I don't play well with it. I use the Yolas. I didn't play great with it at all. I was missing a lot. I like a little bit of both worlds. So you
What
know.
do you think? Well, there is. You guys have your sponsors, but like, talk amongst the pros. Like, if you were, let's just say, the contract was the same across every brand, you could choose whatever you wanted. Like, what do you think consensus is like top 1, 2, and 3 brands players would choose, assuming everything else was the same? they were only indexing on what's going to make them perform best?
Yeah, honestly, this might sound a little bit biased, but I talked to a couple different brands before I went with 6-0. They're and I'm still a new player, but they come out to the tournaments. They're supportive. You can actually reach out and talk to them like they're a coach of yours. I'm having conversation with Dale, the CEO, the owner of 6-0, all the time, or Alex, he's the head of partnerships. To be honest, I think most players, they're looking for obviously support to get to these tournaments with a good paddle, but they're also looking for support, right? It's hard out there, and it's nice to be able to go out and reach out to your team and feel like you're a team. I mean, me and Jaume and Lane and Alec, we all stayed in the Airbnb. It's a smaller group, but it's supportive. And whether we go at it on the court, we're all one big team as of now, and I think it's just going to continue getting bigger. So I think more pros would appreciate that type of treatment as a player out there going and giving it your hardest every week. So I haven't seen that with other companies, to be honest. So,
You went with the intangibles. Zane, you have an answer to that?
Yeah, it's easier to answer which paddle companies suck. So, but I probably won't fully do that. We'll leave that for the comments. I think
Yeah, there you
there's,
go.
there's plenty of good paddles. I would say people love 6-0, people love Paddle Tech, Yola, Pro XR. Let's see.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's Proton has a interesting, like, I think they're pretty solid paddles, but they're just not for everybody. Same with Gearbox. Gearbox has like a cult following, but like they're just kind of a weird feel that takes some getting used to. And
Yeah,
then,
they're kind of flyy. I don't love them.
yeah,
Yeah.
they take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So I think those are probably the most commonly used on tour.
So
I think
Sure.
it's interesting to talk to the different paddle brands and hear from the people who run those companies how they view sponsoring pros and how that opinion differs. A lot of them believe if you're sponsoring a pro like outside of the top 5, it just doesn't move the needle. Whereas others think you have to have a handful of top players just as testament to the brand. And there's different ways of approaching that and thinking about it. So it's interesting to see the different philosophies. I think at one point it was clear brands are just racing to sign pros.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
that doesn't seem to be the case. Even some of the most established are saying, we're going to take a step back. We don't need it.
Yeah, it seems like they're almost, what's the word, kind of waiting off on some players, I think. It's not easy anymore to get a paddle contract, I think. I think it's got a little bit harder. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think it's changing a little bit. Companies have spent a lot of money, so it's tough. It's tough.
Definitely. It's not what it used to be where everybody and their mom could get sponsored. But
Yeah.
Zane, we appreciate you coming on. What's the best way to like stay up to date with you? What are your socials?
Yeah.
Shout them out.
Yeah, just follow me at the Zane Ford on Instagram, and hopefully you see more funny videos like the one you saw probably yesterday.
Love it. Thanks, dude. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it, and you guys have a great day. Okay.
Yeah, you
Later,
too.
Ford.
All righty. I'll see you guys.
Dre, welcome to the Pickle Pod, dude. We've never had you on before.
Zane, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm not
yeah,
even
no,
here.
thanks for making. Yeah, no, Thomas isn't here. Thanks for making time
Thomas,
out of your
Thomas
busy
is there
schedule.
too. No, I appreciate it.
I don't matter though. I mean, I didn't even realize people they call you Dre. So I wasn't privy to that. Clearly we need to work on our relationship.
I thought Zane runs the show, and you're kind of like the background guy with the cameras and all
Yeah,
that.
I
Sorry,
mean,
Thomas.
Yeah, I'm like the jester.
He does the behind the scenes stuff. He does the important stuff. I just come on here and talk crap and look good with this haircut that you pointed out, Dre.
Yeah, I think it's time for a haircut, Zane. It's
The science experiment is over. I agree.
It should be, yeah. Well, we'll Venmo you some money after this meeting, and we'll get you looking sharp again. Camera sharp.
Yeah,
at
let's
least.
start a GoFundMe, please. All right, dude. Well, you've been on an absolute tear. What is that? 3 golds in a row for you now to start the year? Or so what you had Tucson, Mesa, and then this gold medals, right?
Yep. It's not to start the year though, because we got third at the Masters. But it's been a good start of the year. One Daytona, I guess that counts as a 2025 tournament. Got bronze in Palm Desert, and then got gold in the last three. So not a bad run for sure. Pretty good spot to be in.
Yeah. How the hell are you still underrated?
How am I underrated? That's
How are you still underrated?
Do you feel underrated?
That's because I used to play MLP with you, Zane. So that's never gonna go away, you know.
Yeah, everybody knows I carried that squeeze team, right?
You did. You're the goat of MLP. Got the most titles out of everyone. So I'm always gonna be in your shadow there. But I don't feel underrated. I don't really follow much of that. I kind of let the paddle do the talking, and try my best when I'm out there. So I feel like I'm playing pretty well at the moment, and I hope to be able to continue to do so for the rest of the year.
Wow. Well enough to carry Ben Johns to his first medal without Colin. How does it feel to carry Ben?
Yeah, I don't know about carrying Ben on that one, but I think it was an interesting experience to play with him. Obviously different dynamics, different core coverage. As you know, I play mostly on the left unless I play with Ben Johns or Zane Averdale. So I shifted over to the right for the most part. Played a couple of points on the left. Had about a week and a half to prepare for it. It was good to have Ben here in South Florida. We got to practice some leading up to the tournament. I think we figured out a couple of things and competed pretty well. We had a really long and hard-fought semifinal, and then took care of business in some of the other matches, and just happy to get a goal with the guy. You know, it's he's a legend of the game, and it was a fun experience. Different for sure than what I'm used to, but it was fun.
Yeah. So like, what's like the conversation going into this? Like, did Ben just approach you and like, hey, let's rock one together? But like, you know, the obvious first question is, you guys are both like almost always left side guys. Like, was that ever an issue when you guys were chatting? Or take us through how you ended up with Ben on your left.
Well, the whole partnership worked out because we both kind of needed partners for this one. Last moment, I screwed up on my partnerships in terms of planning. I've been told by my regular partner that he can play this one, and I put in my calendar that I can play with him, and just realized when I signed up that actually he can play this one. And I was looking for partners, and it was in Tucson actually when I was trying to figure out who am I going to play this one with. And Dave Fleming pointed out that Ben's partner dropped out as well, and Ben was looking for a partner. So I was like, the dynamics should be interesting, but let's give it a go. So I approached Ben. I texted Ben, and he was like, hey, I need a partner just as bad as you do. Let's give it a go. We got a week in Florida to try to figure out how we're going to make this work, and let's make the most of it. So that's kind of how it worked out. And then we went to practice. We tried both sides. We tried both ways, straight up, stacking both ways, and we after a few games, we figured out that it was best to keep me on the right. He was on the left. As you could probably see in some of the matches, we didn't unwind the stack as much, especially when I was returning. I stayed on the left. Just a couple of tweaks in there, but for the most part, I thought it worked out pretty well.
I'd say so. Yeah, undefeated together.
Yeah.
A win's a win.
A win's a win indeed.
That your regular partner wouldn't make it. Is that still Gabe? Is Gabe your regular partner for the year, or who's your?
Gabe is Ben's partner for the year, as you obviously know. No, Christian. I've started the year with Christian. He told me we can play the first quarter together and probably beyond that, which you are playing. But he told me those two he can't make it, and like as you might know, I'm great at planning, and I screwed that one up. And in Tucson, I was scrambling to find a partner, so it worked out pretty well. I got lucky.
For sure.
Yeah.
I like you and Christian together. Christian's playing some good ball too.
Christian's played some great ball for sure. Yeah, we had a pretty good battle in the finals there, and he's obviously playing great in singles. He won the gold medal in singles and made a run in mixed as well. So he's definitely playing very well at the moment.
Good battle in the finals. You guys shit on him.
It wasn't really shitting. I mean, the points are close, and
The points
yeah,
were good, yeah.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
like a
The
whatever it
the
was,
score
3,
line is
7, and 5. That was closer than it was for sure.
the score line is a little bit deceiving, but we definitely had some good points, and yeah, those guys are solid. No easy day at the office with them.
Yeah.
I have a personal question for you. Something I've been meaning to ask. I should have just texted you or emailed because it is important to me. You've stopped tweeting the philosophical quotes. I want to know what that's about, and I want to ask if you will revisit that because those made my.
Um, you go through different cycles and that, so never say never. They could be coming back. You definitely planted a seed in my head, and yeah, we'll see what the future brings.
Dude,
I'm
you were
I'm
like
glad
known
I'm
for
glad you
that.
I'm glad you are enjoying it. Yes, I
Yeah,
was.
everybody
Yeah,
was. It was so
yeah,
funny.
yeah,
I
Dude,
yeah,
we
feel like
missed that.
yeah.
yeah,
There you go. So it's it might make a comeback sooner than anything. That I want to keep you guys sharp and entertained.
yeah. I mean, is that just like a shtick, or are you somebody who's big into sort of the mental side of the game? I mean, Christian said playing with you that you're one of the best partners he's ever had, not just from an effort standpoint, but from the mental game side of things. That, in combination with the fact that you're always tweeting out philosophical quotes, I'm curious. Do you think about the mental game a lot? Is that something that's on your mind?
I mean, I think about the mental game a fair amount. I think like everybody else, and I try to prepare mentally. I think it's important. It's an important part of the game, just like the physical aspect is, and the tactical aspect, and the technical, and all that. So, yeah, I spent some time training it and working on it, and yeah, I mean, I like to share um, a variety of stuff on social media, and that's part of it. And like I said, I'll definitely bring it back in the future. Now that I know you guys are all over that, so yeah, I knew Zane was a big fan. Didn't know about you, Thomas, but I'll definitely bring you back and hopefully inspire you. But yeah, I try to keep it nice and fresh. I mean, there's a lot of videos about points and stuff like that, but you want to mix it up a little bit and yeah, keep it entertaining for the audience.
Is it tough to play with personalities like an Alshon or a Ben, who I think at times they can get a little bit negative on the court, but I think you're a great counterbalance to that. Is that something that you're thinking about? I mean, Christian specifically mentioned that as something he likes about you as a partner.
I mean, I get pretty negative sometimes myself. I'm definitely not the perfect partner here, but I try to do the best I can to keep a good team spirit and team energy. I think it's beneficial for the team, obviously, and for myself ultimately. So yeah, I've been playing sports and professional sports for a while now, and kind of used to the ups and downs, and just trying to stay mentally tough out there, stay super competitive, and if my partner needs a little bit of support, I'm there for my partner, and they do the same for me. I definitely get negative myself sometimes as well.
Yeah, I'd say like among the pro tour, you're known as just the guy. You're the Nadal of pickleball in that like no matter what the score is, like you're playing it like it's match point.
Uh,
Like how
I
did
thought I
you
was
how
I
did
thought I
you
was I thought I was known as the Nadal of pickleball because of my biceps, but I'll take that as a compliment, I guess.
Yeah, good one, Trey. No, dude, but seriously, like if you ask anybody on the pro tour on the men's side who is the best competitor, I think it'd probably be nearly unanimously you. Like there's not anybody who, in my opinion, is as dialed in point by point as you are. Like, is that something that you've just came naturally from playing so long? Is it some sort of off court stuff? Like, you're even known for these weird freaking stretches that you do that look like you're trying to practice something else, and I always let you know about it. You got the wildest stretching routine, but you're on these match days stretching, doing yoga, that type of stuff for like it seems like hours throughout the day. Like, is that all part of just being locked in like you are, or what?
Well, the stretching it's more just a consequence of playing a lot and just trying to keep loose. Obviously, it's super important to be loose in our game. At the kitchen line, you're twisting, turning, reaching. So, and for tall people like me, it's not easy to stay loose. During competition, day 2, day 3, day 4 of the tournament, your body starts to tighten up. I'm also not the youngest horse in the race anymore at 37, so it takes me a little longer to kind of get going. And no, the stretching is completely different than the mental part routine. It's just a function of, again, trying to make sure that, I start a match from the first point ready to go, not just mentally, but physically as well. And I think it's important. I used to be a little bit of a slow starter and it used to drive me nuts. I think pickleball is a game of runs, and especially in this day and age with the speed that the game is played at, points can get away from you in a hurry. And there's nothing worse than starting, the first game down 5-1, 6-1, 4-0, having to already call your timeout. They've obviously changed the timeout structure as well. Now on center court and grandstand, you only get one per game. So I feel like it's even more important that you get off to a strong start. So that's the purpose of stretching, just kind of making sure I'm right on it, straight into it from the get-go. In terms of mental preparation, I definitely spend quite a bit of time trying to prepare mentally. Do it as much work as I can. I've obviously done it my whole professional career, whether it was in tennis or now in pickleball. And I think same thing. I think it's important to mentally to be locked in from the first point. I think in the best of three, it just can get away from you so quickly. I mean, if you start pretty poorly and you lose game one, the differences are so small. Everything is so narrow these days that you might just lose the whole match because of a poor start. And I would hate to do that. So I just kind of try to lock in mentally, physically, and make sure I'm good to go from the first point. In terms of have I done it my whole life? No, I used to be pretty bad, especially early in my career with tennis. I used to get extremely mad. I still get mad sometimes, but I feel I control it better. But I used to get extremely mad and used to be very detrimental to my game. I used to, let the emotions kind of take control of my game and get pretty negative and, have some bad energy and lose a lot of points. And I think you learn with experience and playing and all that. And I think everybody's super competitive, so you have to adjust. And hopefully I'm doing a pretty good job of that.
Do you miss grinding the APP Tour?
Do I miss grinding what? No, I don't. I mean, I feel like I'm grinding pretty. I feel like I'm grinding pretty well on the PPA
Yeah, you're doing
Tour.
all right.
So,
you're doing okay.
Yeah, I'm grinding. I'm grinding pretty well on the PPA Tour. My body's definitely pushed to the limits. Competition is obviously extremely tough. We have the best pros in the world. The depth is off the charts. I mean, even it used to be that you could kind of like walk into the first two rounds and be okay. Now you have to be on top of your game from the first point in the first round. So now the game has changed a lot. The PPA Tour is super deep in terms of player ability. So I'm definitely feel like I'm grinding pretty hard out here.
I mean, you haven't like for a while. You were just kind of like another guy on tour, right? And even like I think about the first time I saw you play was the first Major League Pickleball. I think you were on were they called the Austin Pickle Ranchers at the time?
Yeah,
it was the Ranchers.
Yeah, and then I mean, you sort of had this like slower progression, I would say, but now over the past year, it's like Andrei's the guy now, especially with the recent success. It's like debatably one of the top guys. What do you think? Like, what do you think is different about your game now? Do you think it's just like the reps? Do you think it's the maturity, or like have you gone from kind of middle of the pack to debatably the top guy in sport?
It's the process, obviously. It's not like I don't think I'm doing many things different than the other pros, but I just gotta, set up the process the way you think it's gonna help you long term and trust it. Like you said, I think the reps are super important. I think I'm playing a ton of matches. I'm obviously getting a lot of reps off the court, off the tournament side, practice court and all that I think are very helpful. I've been trying to add things to my game. I've been able to add my two-handed dink and speed up off the bounce. I've been able to roll my backhand a little bit better. I've been able to dink with my forehand a little bit better. Resetting, I think it's a better one. So just continue to add stuff to the game, and I think overall it's just the process of coming in and doing the best every day in all aspects, physical, technical, and mental. So I think it's just a combination of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, you still working with Alex, the coach?
Alex Pops, yes.
Stay hot.
Still staying hot. Still
What
staying
a
hot with him.
legend! I love that guy. I
love his energy on the sidelines, and I love his eye for the game. He watches all my matches, and he's always got some good insight. He still can can play, so I can get some decent reps with him, even live ball. But he does a lot of drilling with me with the basket and all that. And like I said, he's got a great eye for things, and I think he's been very, very helpful for me. So yeah, super fortunate to have him in my corner. Yeah,
good dude.
Great guy for sure. Better haircut than yours too.
Yeah, no shit. Tommy, what else you got?
All right. Well, I mean, listen, Andrei, we wanted to have you on back when there was a nice fine issued to you and a little bit of a suspension. I feel like you play that interestingly. You sort of laid low. You did make one statement on Twitter. And by the way, I like you had philosophical quotes up until the statement on Twitter, and then they went away. So it did feel like your approach to the whole thing was laying low, but I just want to hear it from the horse's mouth. Like, what happened?
Yeah, so it was obviously an internal thing, and it's a thing of the past. And I feel like it's something that's already happened, and we've dealt with it, and it's way behind us. And I think the results are showing it. And yeah, it's it's an episode that sometimes you have to go through. And yeah, I think we got out of it pretty successful. And yeah, it's the past already. I don't really think about it anymore.
Yeah, Dre, you didn't have to answer, but we had to ask, dude.
Yeah.
I know. To be fair,
I know you're a curious
when
guy.
when that whole thing came out, I did think one of two things. One, you were the world's absolute dumbest cheater of all time, or there was some random bullshit going on. So, I mean, I was a defender. In my opinion, it seemed like the paddle testing worked, but you're right. I think it wasn't a bad strategy to just lay low, let it blow over. Because what are you going to do? Are you going to fight it and piss off the PPA? Are you going to deny, whatever? It's a no-win situation. I thought you played it well, and yep. I don't think anybody really gives a shit anymore.
Yeah, I think it's a thing of the past for sure. Yeah.
I gotta ask though. I mean, you might not answer. Who paid the $50K?
Who paid the $50K? Yeah, that's an internal thing again as well. It's not something that should be shared with the public. And yeah, it's yeah. I think it's pretty obvious who paid it, but yeah, not to be shared.
Yeah. Obvious, but not to be shared. All right, you want to go to some fun stuff, Tommy? You want to do a blind ranking?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Andrei, blind rank these 5 ex-tennis pros based on their pickleball games. First up, we got Donald Young.
Donald's playing well at the moment. Good in singles. He's taking us to 3 in Arizona. Lots of power, good hands. That's a tough one to start with. Let's put him at 3 because I don't know what's coming.
Put him at 3. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You might not be happy with that. Next up, we got Sam
Well,
Querrey.
I figured that would be the case. Yeah. Sam, unfortunately, has been battling with some injuries, and yeah, he's gonna have to go 5.
That's a fair number, 5. All right. Next up, we got Jack Sock.
Well, Jack thing's been the one that's made the biggest impact, and right away as well. I think he's a complete player. He can play singles, doubles, and mixed. A lot of the tennis players, when they come in, they do very well in singles, but it take a while to succeed in doubles, and especially mixed doubles and men's doubles. But I think he won his very first mixed tournament, so Jack's definitely number 1.
Okay, got it. Next up, we got Caitlin Christian.
Caitlin's made a huge impact as well on the female pro tour. Super successful in singles. Definitely getting better doubles, so I would go to number 2 with Caitlin.
Okay, so your number 4 pick, you'll probably like
Yeah.
it. We got Jeannie Bouchard
Oh,
in the
okay.
4th spot. So we got Jack Sock, Caitlin Christian, Donald Young, Jeannie Bouchard, Sam Querrey. How do you feel about that list?
Pretty good, especially because you started with Donald, which was a tough one. But I think Donald is an up and comer. He's got a huge potential, and I think he's playing great at the moment. But yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that top 5 for sure.
I feel like that's a pretty good list, huh, Tommy?
Yeah, not bad. That's probably the most accurate we've had.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, what would you say, Zane? Would you change anything in that top 5?
I think Jack's had more of an impact so far, but if we're doing like power rankings currently, right, who's like a better player at this moment, it might be Donald. Like Donald's playing good ball. So,
Yep.
other than that, though, I think the list is perfect. Got to have Query down there in number 5. You know, we should have had Isner on there too. That would have been good. But
I think he's only played
yeah,
the World Championships in Dallas, right? I don't think he's only played some Texas tournaments.
yeah, he might be here this week in McKinney. Who knows? He's probably
Okay.
out at Indian Wells, but yeah,
Yeah. Should be a
sweet.
fun one.
Well, Tommy, you got anything else for Dre?
No, the only thing I want to ask about is like a question for both of you guys. But when we were talking to Zane Ford, he's talking about the fact that the 6-0 team, it's like a team, right? Like they're doing things together, they're staying in Airbnbs together. Does Proton feel like that, Andre? Where like, Caitlin Christian, Donald Young, we just talked about some of those players, but do you guys feel like you're part of a team?
Oh, we definitely feel like we're part of a team. I don't know about staying all together in Airbnb and that kind of stuff. I feel like we're a little bit past high school trips and that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're definitely a team. I mean, when we played the tournament in Mesa, we had a big event at Proton. We're all there. We have like Proton dinners where the staff and the owners take us out to dinner. I mean, we shoot a lot of commercials together, so we do a lot of professional stuff together. We don't really, again, travel together or stay together, which I don't think is ideal for professional life. I think we all have, families, spouses, coaches, physios, and all that kind of stuff. But I definitely feel like we're part of a team. I think we're super close together. I feel pretty close with Travis. I think he's a great guy. We talk a lot about a lot of different things. I think he's been extremely helpful in terms of paddle development. He's a very knowledgeable guy, cool guy as well, funny. But I get along with everybody else. I think CJ is a very straight up guy. I'm super happy for his recent success. Caitlin obviously has been a great addition to the team back in early 2024. We have all the players, in Arizona as well. Now we have the Australian guys who are really, really fun. I got to do the event with them in Phoenix before the PPA tournament there, and they were really cool personalities. So I think they're great for the brand and the game, and it's a great family to be part of, and it keeps expanding. So I like it.
I feel like Zane Ford was just doing some media training speak, and like we were basically asking him like what are the best battles. He was like, why did he choose 6-0? Like what are the factors? And he basically, it was a non-answer, right? But it was a good one, especially for somebody
Yeah.
so young. But he was just like, well, the team aspect and all they do off the court. So I'm just curious if like, would that actually be a factor in you choosing a paddle brand that you're going to sign with? I feel like it wouldn't be.
I think it'll be a factor in terms of, again, having chemistry, keeping all the players together, doing activities together, and that kind of stuff. In terms of traveling together or staying together and that kind of stuff, I don't think it matters. Back in the day, Engage, Onyx, and all these brands used to have it. So I think it's more of a thing of the past. I think, look, a lot of those paddle brand manufacturers have so many players, under their umbrella, so they're not going to be able to keep them all under one house. They might have to rent out like a full hotel or a mansion. But I think the concept of, feeling like a family and feeling like, you're working together, it's extremely important. So I will definitely choose a paddle brand based on that. And I think Proton has done a great job with that. And I think that's why you see the kind of growth they had in the last few years, since they got on the market. Because if you think about it, they're still a relatively new paddle manufacturer. They haven't been around for that long.
Yeah, I think maybe another fact would be if you get a massive fine, the paddle brand chips in.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
We just cannot we cannot get anything out of you on that.
There's certain things that unfortunately, you just can't discuss. But who knows? Maybe later down the road we're gonna have a beer and we'll know all about it.
Yeah, when your book comes out, Dre
When my
tells
book
all.
comes out. My book comes out. When my book comes out. Yeah. You need to wait for me to get some gray hair before that happens.
All right, well, Dre, I think that's all that we had for you, brother. Appreciate you coming on, and stoked to see
you guys.
Stoked to see the rest of the year. I like you and Christian together. I think that'll be a fun rivalry. You and Christian versus Ben and Gabe. Stoked for that.
It should be fun for sure. Well, thank you guys for having me on, and yeah, I'll see you in Dallas, Zane.
All right, see ya.
Okay, so today is Tuesday, and if you've been online on Pickleball Twitter, on Pickleball Social, in the Facebook groups, you've probably seen some rumors, speculation, and stories about Pickleball World Rankings and what's going on. So we're supposed to have Pran Kohli on tomorrow, I believe. It may or may not happen, but regardless, we wanted to give a breakdown of everything that's been going on because it is super fascinating. There is a lot of speculation. There is a lot of information and rumors flying around. What's true and what isn't, we're not quite sure. But what we can do is give a breakdown of the events that we know and what's been alleged. And then hopefully we'll have Pran on to actually fill in the context and answer some of the lingering questions that people have. So right now we're going to run through the series of events, and then hopefully this will be followed up by an interview with Pran. Regardless, Zane and I will be giving our take on everything that's been going down. So let's start from the top. PWR, or Pickleball World Rankings, launched in 2023 with big ambitions, a global ranking system, massive prize purses, and marquee events that promise to rival or even surpass some of the established tours like Major League Pickleball and the PPA Tour. Pran Kohli founded PWR with the backing of India's largest media conglomerate, the Times Group. The partnership reportedly brought $10 million into the venture, and the group's media reach gave the project serious clout, at least at first. It's also relevant to note that Pran Kohli runs Pickleball United, a court provider similar to companies like Pickleroll. So it's not like Pran came out of nowhere. They held a launch party in Dubai with the press event, a custom rooftop pickleball court overlooking the Burj Khalifa, and they flew in heads of organizations, pro players, and other prominent voices in the space to attend. I would know because I was there. We broadcasted the event. It was actually awesome. One of the biggest selling points was the claim that PWR would offer $15 million in prize money for 2025 alone. That attracted more than 30 professional players. Names like Jack Monroe, Will Howells, Eric Lang, Megan Fudge, Jill Braverman were all announced as PWR signees back in December. They were drawn in by those unprecedented prize pool promises and the chance to compete in high-profile events. But now sources are saying a number of those players have not been paid, and concerns are growing amid repeated event postponements. The indefinite delay of the PWR Duper Indian League, once hyped as a franchise-based league with tennis legend Andrei Agassi as a headline ambassador, has only fueled that anxiety. Despite these issues, some PWR events have taken place. For instance, the Skechers PWR Masters 700 tournament in Japan just wrapped up last week. These smaller tournaments come with much smaller payouts, but do count toward PWR rankings. So the tour is not completely at a standstill. However, the major events that really put PWR on the map, like the $1.5 million PWR World Series event in Dubai, originally scheduled for February, haven't materialized. That's a huge blow to the organization's credibility, especially given how heavily they promoted that event. But let's talk about the Times Group, because they're a key piece of the puzzle. They're India's largest media conglomerate. Think major newspapers, TV channels, and digital platforms. When you have a backer of that scale, it signals deep pockets and wide influence. The Times Group was expected to help PWR tap into the huge potential market in India, which could be transformative for pickleball. We were there in Dubai. We met key executives from the Times Group. So for somebody like us, somebody like me personally, when I see key executives from a massive conglomerate there on site, I immediately think this organization is legit, and they might be legit. All of these allegations, again, are unproven, but they certainly raise doubts. And based on what I'm hearing, I have my own concerns. Just for some added context, I do want to touch on how PWR fits into the broader professional pickleball landscape. The established tours, Major League Pickleball and the PPA Tour, recently merged, obviously. They're now under UPA. That's led by Connor Pardoe. PWR was positioning itself as a global circuit to rival or complement those tours. It seems to have hit a roadblock just as MLP and PPA are getting more aggressive in their international expansion. In fact, Pardoe, the CEO of UPA, posted a pretty vague tweet referencing organizations, quote, overextending themselves, widely interpreted as a subtle nod to PWR's current situation. To quote the post on X from Connor Pardoe, he said, with some international pickleball organizations overextending, the global game is set to explode. Success comes down to partnering with the right people who understand the culture and making smart business moves. We're locked in on growing PPA Tour and Major League Pickleball worldwide. PPA and MLP Australia is thriving. PPA and MLP Asia is in motion. Europe and Canada, you're next. Pickleball isn't slowing down. Let's go. I definitely have to mention the fact that it did seem that there was some sort of behind closed doors meeting in Dallas earlier this year between the UPA and the PWR team. The rumor is that the UPA was exploring a partnership or possibly looking to neutralize PWR as a competitive threat. So far, there's no public confirmation of the outcome, if any. So now we get to today. We have received reports that there was a call. It involved different stakeholders, including Times Group executives, who came together to discuss what is going on and what do things look like moving forward, basically like a level set. The delay messaging from PWR remains the same. The league is still postponed, but not canceled. The Times Group says they've taken a more vested role in team ownership, media, and sponsorship. They apparently were unaware of many of the specific arrangements that PWR had made, like certain obligations to players, agents, NPL, duper, etc. They plan to meet with Pran Kohli next week in person to clarify these obligations. Ultimately, PWR is still in charge of players and operations, but the Times Group needs to be looped in on any major contracts. It sounds like the Times Group was genuinely surprised by the scope of PWR's outstanding commitments. They promised to get to the bottom of it, in quotes, which could lead to some movement, maybe more clarity, or even a restructuring of PWR's operations. For now, it's clear that internal communication and financial accountability have been major sticking points. So, brief summary. Players are concerned about unpaid contracts and indefinite event delays. The Times Group is stepping in more forcefully, apparently unaware of some of PWR's obligations. PWR has held a few smaller tournaments, but canceled or postponed its big marquee events, casting doubt on the promised $15 million in prize money. Industry leaders like the UPA's Connor Pardo have hinted that some organizations might be overreaching, while rumors swirl of a Dallas meeting to quell the threat PWR once posed. As for Andrei Agassi, he was announced as an ambassador for the PWR Duper Indian League, but with that league in limbo, his involvement has been overshadowed by these ongoing controversies. Apparently, he's pretty unhappy. All in all, the PWR saga continues to unfold. Will the Times Group's renewed involvement stabilize the project and salvage its grand vision of a unified global pickleball tour? Or is this the beginning of the end for an organization that aimed too high, too fast? We'll be watching closely. I'm not really sure what to make of it. I do get the sense that a lot of the information that's coming out is coming from biased entities or people who are upset. So it'll be good to hear it from the horse's mouth. Either way, there were rumors that this thing was just going to be shutting down, right? There was embezzlement, there was misuse of funds. If the Times Group is still involved, and it seems like they're going to be taking steps to move forward, I would imagine that a lot of those claims were exaggerated, but really there's no way to know. If you think about some of the claims, like it was going to penthouses and, like parties, I mean, they could easily be referencing the fact that when they flew people out for the Dubai event that we were at, some people were staying in penthouses. How do you define penthouse? I don't know. They did take us to the club. We did pop bottles. We did smoke hookah. And we did hang out and have a good time at the club with a bunch of industry people. And it was fun. And I thought it was cool. It was like the kickoff of something that was supposed to be really big. So is that what they're referencing in these claims of misuse of funds going to penthouses and parties? Like, maybe. I would assume so. I haven't heard of any other like massive parties or big penthouses. I don't think you can really liken this to like Fire Festival or some young entrepreneur who raised a venture fund and just like went off the rails and started partying. I think there's more than meets the eye. And again, I think we just have to like look at every piece of information that emerges and make sure we aren't making any assumptions. I think we just got to stick to the facts. So a lot of this stuff is alleged. A lot of it comes from industry people. Obviously, we've been involved, at least in the Dubai launch. We haven't done a ton with them since. We'll see how it unfolds. Hopefully this interview will be interesting and create some clarity.
All right. Well, hey, welcome to the Pickle Pod. Welcome back to the Pickle Pod. Pran Kohli from PWR, Pickleball World Rankings. So last time we had you on was, this is probably a little over a year ago. Is that correct, Thomas?
Yeah, it would have been just about a year ago.
Maybe,
right.
yeah. It was after Dubai, right? It couldn't have been exactly because we announced in March, right at Necker, so which was beginning of March, and then Dubai was July. So yeah, I mean, 8 months, who's counting? But yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So last time we came on, there was a lot of interesting stuff. There was a lot of hype that we had discussed,
Yeah.
whether it was the Pickleball World Series offering a ton of prize money, or the, event taking place in Madison Square Garden and the Sphere were a couple of things that we chatted about. But
Yeah.
it seems like the news recently has been that we've been focused, or we've had delays. As of right now, it sounds like the event is delayed. The kickoff event in India is delayed indefinitely. What's happened over the
Yeah.
what's crushed the momentum that you guys had there?
Yeah. I mean, so I would like to take you through the journey for the last 1 year. I'll take 2-3 minutes to just go through the whole thing, and and that might clarify some of the doubts, because looking outside in, it may look like that there's the momentum has gone down. Actually, the momentum has kind of gone up with a lot of events and a lot of things. I was just telling you, Zane, with respect to the number of events we're doing and satellite events that we're doing. So we announced with the thought process of doing these World Series events. And even when we started off, I always spoke about Pickleball World Rankings being the focus, and having a ranking system and a pathway for various places for people to qualify. And we launched this and announced this last year. We employed the services of the DINK to make that announcement, and as well as the kitchen last year in March. And we'd announced it with a cocktail launch at the Necker Island, and then we did a massive launch in Dubai, which was like a $500,000 event. Thomas was there to cover it as well. It was covered live on the DINK. We went ahead, with the thought process of then sponsoring minor league pickleball to become one of those pathways, because obviously we did not have a tour in the US, and Thomas and Tito were part of that whole journey as well, with minor league pickleball being a PWR sponsored event last year. And we did our first event in Delhi, which was like a 700 event in October. But up to Delhi, we had already done Hong Kong, and we'd done a couple of other events in India, which were all satellite events. During this process, what also happened was that a lot of people, kind of got wary of this whole fact. And within India, we had two major leagues that got announced. One was obviously the MLP and Global Sports tie-up, which got announced last year, and then obviously did not happen with MLP, PPA, and Global Sports not getting into that partnership and doing their first event. And then we also had the announcement of the WPBL, right? Now, being an Indian company, one of the key things for us was also to make sure that we own the Indian ecosystem. Right? We couldn't have gone out in the world when we were not owning the Indian ecosystem as well. So we also started focusing on creating a league for India as well. Initially, when we started off, we did not want to have an Indian league because we felt it was a little early. Because even if you look at the Indian league right now, like the players who are playing, like in WBBL, there were like 6 Indian players who play. Like the talent drop off is huge, right? So if you want to have a proper league, proper ecosystem, the talent needs to grow first. So we had that opinion initially, but then obviously, we wanted to make sure that we own the ecosystem. So we announced the Indian League. We started working on that. We did the Delhi event. And while we did the Delhi event, we also tied up with GPF. We're the largest benefactors of Global Pickleball Federation. We're sponsors with them for a 3-year sponsorship deal. We started working with NGBs like JPA, which just did one of our events. We started working with various countries like Vietnam, Australia, and other places, and started doing events in these places as well. And at the same time, we started a momentum in India. Like I was just telling Zane, the last month we did 12 events in India with PWR. So in this whole process, we launched the Indian League in December. We did the October event where we did a lot of firsts, right? Like if you look at the tunnel entry for the pro players, just the center court, making it, pyros, music, and, entry music, and kind of creating that effect. It was like a practice event for our our league in January at that time, which we had thought of. In that whole process, 2 things happened. One was that we live streamed our event in Delhi. We had we had a cumulative reach of 33 million in that. And these are verified numbers that we have from Buck. Which also meant that, Times Group started looking at this a lot more seriously. And they increased their equity within the company as well post that event. What we also realized is that we're undervaluing our Indian teams. By the time December came around, we had our initial team price was $220,000 per year for a 7-year contract. We did the Agassi event we were supposed to announce the team owners in that Agassi event, but the money on the table that we were not taking with respect to the overall team ownership and everything, and also the kind of event that we would end up delivering because of that, meant that we had to take another look at how we want to deliver it. So that was the first delay which happened. Currently, the teams that we have sold are all at $650,000 approximately per year, and it's in perpetuity. There's no like a 7-year clause, and this is for the Indian league. So that was what happened between October and December. Between December and so we paid Geo, we booked the venue, we convinced them to kind of shift it to March 17th to 23rd. We spent the whole of January. Now, obviously, December and January are months Christmas, and people are off on holiday. We were working with the team owners to kind of close terms, close deals. The price went up, so obviously some of the team owners from the existing did not go. There were a couple who went through, but a couple of them, 3 or 4 of them dropped out, and the new team owners came in at the new pricing. And in this whole process, just before 1 week before we were to do the event, and we were, we paid Geo, we were paying players, 15 of the players were paid. Team owners came to us and said, look, we're not able to design our jerseys, we're not able to design our, brand names, we're not able to do any kind of marketing, we're paying this kind of money, we need time. And, we had a discussion last week internally, I think it was Tuesday last week, that, okay, if this needs to be pushed one more time, then we have to do it. So this is kind of what has happened. But in the whole process, if you talk about the momentum, we've done events in Singapore, in Hong Kong, in Vietnam, in Japan, in Australia. Within India, we've got every state. We've done the nationals in January, the IBA nationals, which was a PWR event. Every state event in India is now a PWR event. About 28 states. We've done about like 8 or 10 state events. We've done 12 events last month, which range between PWR 50 and 200 within India. And we're, in the process, we are slowly moving towards being one of the largest amateur tours in the world. So yes, things got delayed, but in the whole process, the momentum has not, as you were asking, Zane, the momentum has not gone down. Obviously, the way we're building this has changed a little bit. We're still focused on doing those high-end events. We're still focused on bringing the Grand Slams, but to us, it also became clear that building the pathway also is very critical.
Yeah, so one of the biggest delays, I think, is, or in the context of a delay that people are pointing to and curious about, is we're supposed to have this team event, and then, according to a lot of people in the space, there's actually no owners for those teams, which was one of the core concepts to this league. Can you talk a little bit about where that stands? Why
we definitely have
don't have
owners. Yeah, we definitely have all 6 owners. It needs to be done right? Like if you look at the announcements, the way people made them, we want to make sure that we have all the 6 team owners in the same press conference, and you'll see that happen. Now that we have the time, luxury in that sense, for the next couple of months, you'll see that happen. We don't want to rush anything just because people believe that there's something which is not there, right? It needs to be at the comfort of, look at what is happening in Indian sports ecosystem. We're just entering into the beginning of IPL, which is the second largest event in terms of revenue in the world, right? It's the second largest team event in the world. Some of these team owners either have sponsorships or direct ownerships in the IPL. They don't want to drown out noises between IPL and this event. So even if you look at any of the other leagues in India, they don't make any announcements, or they don't. We were ambitious that we will finish our event just on the cusp of that change between our event and IPL. But at this point, the team owners want to focus on the fact that IPL is there. They don't want to drown out the noise. So the rumors and the fear mongering and the belief outside cannot affect how we announce this.
Yeah.
So Pran, I had one quick question on this though. So you mentioned that you were selling teams at 250 previously.
220,
realized that 220. Realized that wasn't enough, and you increased the price to 650, right? Yeah. So were there still teams were there still teams available to sell at this 250 price point, and then it was increased to 650, and you sold them all? Like that's
correct. At 250, we had LOIs and MOUs with all the teams, and we in fact at the Agassi event had most of the guys who had signed those LOIs at the event itself. And some of the players who were there would have met them as well. But yes, so we had these team owners at 220, and then we increased the price to 650. Yes.
Okay,
And
so
they all agreed to increase the price by 400,000 after the LOI was signed.
Sorry.
They all agreed to
Only
increase
two.
their investment.
Only two of them agreed, and then we have 4 new team owners. So the 2 of them that agreed, they agreed at the higher price, and then we have 4 new team owners. So the LOIs were signed, consideration was yet to be given, which is why we were able to get out of that and sign a new contract.
cool. Okay, so Pran, as you said, there's a lot of outside speculation. So I think it makes sense to just ask about 2 of the most pressing, 2 of what I would believe are topics that most people are asserting as a major red flag. And so the one is, we're hearing that certain players haven't been paid. And then 2, I'm sure you saw the post on Instagram from pickleball.com about allegations of penthouses and parties and essentially taking that $10 million investment and doing whatever the hell you wanted with it. So I wanted to make sure during the time that we have that you're able to address those 2 things and give your side.
So the players, okay, first of all, which team event or which event across any line of business pays upfront, right? We were paying upfront as a gesture. Now, 15 of the players were paid right up until the Tuesday before. Like the Wednesday is when we had the meeting internally with the team owners. Up until actually Wednesday morning, we had payments go out, right? Now, when we decided to shift it, we had to take a pause, right? Like this was last Wednesday. Like, the moment there's a massive, shift, you have to kind of stop everything and understand what we want to do next, right? Like it has to be a collective decision. It's not like, as I should suggest that it's not my individual's thing that, okay, fine, like, okay, let's pay all the players and then figure it out. No, 15 were paid up until that point. And then we have a meeting on Monday. We had a thin week this week because of Holi. A lot of people were off. We have a meeting on Monday and we'll figure out what we want to do next and figure out what it looks like for the players and everything else. Now, the second part is, Thomas, the penthouses and everything that they're referring to, you were there at one of those parties at the penthouse, which, you were invited to. We didn't ask you to pay for anything, did we? It's very different how people entertain in Asia and how people entertain internationally. So it's just a matter of that. Did we not throw a $500,000 event? Did we ask you? I mean, when you came, did you pay for your flights? Did you pay for your accommodation? Did you pay for or were you reimbursed? Or, and there were 60 other people there who all did not pay for anything, right? Like it was a $500,000 launch event that we threw. Now, that is what we did. Now, and that is how.
So just to clarify, you're saying that their reference to penthouses and parties is specifically in reference to the Dubai event, which we were at. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the only penthouse I know. I don't know about any other penthouse. Instead, that place is called Penthouse. So I'm sure that somebody would have said something. Yeah, yes. So somebody would have talked to them and said, "Hey, we had he spent it at the Penthouse." So they must have been like, "Well, they must have bought a penthouse." But no, the club is called Penthouse.
Yeah. Okay.
So no, I did not spend $10 million at a club in Penthouse. No.
So moving forward, I mean, what do you see as this new timing? It sounded like there was an important meeting earlier. Was it earlier this week, last week, to kind of to readjust timelines and plot a path forward? So what does everything look like moving forward? And can you just kind of give your side as far as like why people should still believe in this thing and the broader mission?
I mean, look, we have done everything in the best possible way in the last 1 year. The events we have held, people have always come back, in a way where they've bidden and all. So, and it's not like we've done one event and everybody's been like, oh, yeah, that was a great launch in Dubai, but did nothing happen, right? Like the event in Dubai, in Delhi, even the events that we did with respect to, or even the events that we sponsored with respect to, which were PWR events, post that, they all have a certain standard, whether it's Vietnam or Japan. They all went through this hygiene process of, how the pro players should be treated, that there should be a pro player lounge, that there should be, those kind of things that we wanted to bring into this whole aspect. So my only contention to this is, look, it sometimes takes time to build things and do it rightly. So my only suggestion and hope would be that people see that and not just look at fear mongering and look at what everybody's trying to kind of uh, this who has the most interest in for this to fail. Like, understand that, right? Understand who benefits the most, who was the most scared when this kind of got launched, who benefits the most when this fails, right? So just understand people's interest. That's all I would say. And as far as the new timelines are concerned, yes, we have that meeting on Monday. Tentatively, it looks like 7th to 13th of August. We have softly informed the players that we're looking at those timelines because IPL ends in May. There is a window in June, but June is summer vacations in India. There is no clear window in July, and 7th to 13th is the only window, but it still overlaps with MLP. So we may have a couple of players that may not be able to adjust to that time frame. But yes,
Yeah.
that's
So I do
the
think,
tentative.
look, it is clear who wants this to succeed, who wants it to fail. I mean, you're always going to want your competitors to not do as well as you, right? I don't think that incentive is something that anybody denies, but from the player side, what I do hear is, yes, upfront payment isn't necessarily something that we have always in the States. A lot of players signed these big contracts with MLP, PPA, and there was a ton of money up front. So that's not an unprecedented thing to do, certainly.
Yeah.
But just from what I'm hearing from players who've participated in the October event, from tournament organizers that have had the PWR logo on their events, there is issue with payments from what I've heard, whether that is timeliness or whether that is payment in full in terms of having taxes or bank issues or things that are impossible from their end to calculate. And so I'm not privy to the exact agreements and the exact financials. However, this is something that I'm hearing time after time after time after time from both organizers and players.
So I'll answer both the questions. So I'll start with the taxes. India and US and a lot of other places that India works with, we have a double taxation treaty with them. Now, what has happened is in the past, a lot of the Indian kind of entities have either not taken taxes into account or have paid in cash or whatever, done those kind of things. So when we pay you, we have to, and you can Google this, right? We have to deduct tax at source. It's called TDS, tax deductible at source. If you Google, if I'm a US citizen and I earn money in India, how much taxation is going to take place? It's straightforward. It's right there. Anybody can have a look at it, right? It's 20% if it's a parent's fee. It's 30% if it's prize money. Okay. Now, that 30% or 20% doesn't necessarily mean that we get to keep that. We have to pay that amount to the government. And once we pay that amount to the government, we issue a certificate to you that this amount has been paid on your behalf to our government. And that's why we make you sign a no PE, which is, I don't have a permanent entity in India. We make you sign a no PE certificate, which basically tells my government that you don't have an entity in India, which means that you're exempted or you are eligible for that tax write-off. Now, once I give that to you, when you do your taxes in the US, you present that and say, hey, look, I've paid this tax on my earnings from India and I'm exempt, or I should have this as a write-off. That's how it works. Now, that unfortunately is the process, and that's the way it needs to be done. It's the same as you would have taxes in New York or in California and in different places in the US. We have a double taxation thing, and you can write it off in your country. The second part is, yes, there is a lot of documentation that is involved in payments. I mean, even to minor league, for example, there was delays that happened, but they got paid in full. There's nobody who's not getting paid in full. Everybody's getting paid in full. Yes, it takes a little bit of time, and typical timelines I ask people to expect is 30 to 45 days, because it takes that kind of time from once the documentation is complete to kind of process the whole thing. It's not, I could easily instruct the bank and do a wire, but that compliance, because of the time scope involvement, because of the overall thing, from a long-term perspective, we need to make sure, time scope is a large organization. They need to make sure all the compliances are in place.
Oh, so this is coming directly payment from the Times Group then?
Times Group pays us, and we pay. I mean, we have a drawdown with them, and we pay the vendors basically. And every single payment that we make, yes, there is a timeline attached to it, and I every time I have a conversation with anybody, now whether it's acceptable to you or not, it's a different thing. But I keep telling people that expect 30 to 45 days of delays post the event or post the completion of the thing once the invoice is submitted. And I do go back and forth multiple times for documentation. Thomas knows this. I probably asked him for 50 documents during the payment of the minor league because it's needed. I mean, I can't go without it. But they did get paid. There's nobody who's not getting paid. Yes, it's taking time, but that's how it is. So if you unless there is maybe probably one entity that I can think of that may not have delivered to the extent that we'd asked them, so maybe there was a subtracted payment. But everybody else that we had a clear agreement with, we always come through.
So that's one thing I think. One of the things I want to make sure that we harp on is that players are getting taken care of. So moving forward, as you're going to build this thing, I mean, what do you say to players who signed with your venture in lieu of, at the expense of being able to commit to a PPA contract? All these events get moved, their payments get delayed. Now they're sitting there like, wow, I really screwed up. I made a mistake. And all the people in the industry are telling them the same thing, whether that's out of bias or not.
Yes.
There are players that are feeling this way. So I wanted to give you a chance to just kind of talk about that aspect of this.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know what the end decision is going to be, but I can tell you that I personally, as the CEO of EWR, am batting for the players. And that's what I've done always. Every single day, I've made sure, and I've tried to make sure that I personally represent the players in the best form possible. Now, what my thing is that out of the 33 players that we had contracted, we had 15 players who were paid, right? The event got moved. What we're asking the players, which, again, it's a negotiation and I don't want to, it's kind of confidential, but the idea is that even if the event got moved, I would still want to pay the players who would play, right? If you are a player who's not going to play in August on the dates, then it's difficult for me to, make that payment. That's the only thing. Other than that, I'm batting for the players always.
Cool. Okay. Well, I know Zane's got to jump. I know we're over the time that was allotted. So, Pran, appreciate you coming on, and appreciate you taking time out of the holiday.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely keep following this, and we hope you're able to build this thing into a success. And appreciate you coming on to clarify some of the stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for letting us ask the tough questions. Appreciate it.
Always here to answer. Thank you, guys. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Pran.
See you, Pran.
Take care. Bye-bye.
He gave it's just tough. It's tough if we're outsiders to really like dig into the details and dive deep on any of this stuff. Like, we're going to hear different perspectives. They're going to conflict. And honestly, I think it's just up for people to decide. I think we should have another conversation with, I don't want to say any names, someone who isn't as aligned with PWR right now, just get their perspective and see if there was anything he said that was in conflict with some of the facts. But it's tough for us to really present information one way or the other. This is like a total hearsay situation.
It is very much he said, she said, right? So, I mean, I've verified with tournament organizers and with players that they haven't been paid properly, whether that's timeline or just accuracy of payment. Again, that's a he said, she said thing. I don't think we're going to get to the bottom of this without seeing actual agreements. However, there is a good, I mean, there are just a ton of these claims that aren't possible to substantiate, right? And so are all of these people individually lying, or do they all have something to gain by what would be slandering the person that's supposed to be paying them? That part isn't adding up here. So, I mean, I think there are just as many questions as from before. For me, I wasn't still clear necessarily about ownership groups, who are the owners and whatnot. And, to be fair, we also didn't give Pran the chance to answer that in more depth because we both had to jump. But I think this is something that we're definitely going to have to monitor over months to come. More and more is going to come out of this, right? The postponement just happened last week. I think, there was an event in Japan that happened a little while ago, and it was one of those satellite events, right? So from my sources, there was not a single PWR person there. Japan operated the event themselves, and PWR owes them a lump sum of prize money for their players. I think 30 to 45 days is absolutely a reasonable amount of time to be paid. Again, I'm not hearing it's 30 to 45 days. I'm hearing it's 60 to 90 on the regular and more occasionally, right? If at all. So I think there's money owed there. I think that's going to be a good indicator of where things end up, right? I think that organization will be able to verify, and I think it'd be smart given all the public scrutiny right now. I think even if funds are tight, you got to go pay that Japan event right now.
Yeah, let me just close with a couple things. One, if you owe somebody money and they're saying, "Hey, this person owes me money," they haven't paid me what they owe me. That person could then say, "No, I haven't paid you what I owe you yet." And you could just keep saying yet. And then that completely negates it. And you can just extend that out into the future for forever. It did take a while for them to pay us. We did have to go back and forth with a bunch of documents. He did talk about these Indian taxation laws. And the other thing I'll say is I was curious when we brought up like the penthouses and the parties, if he was going to bring up the Dubai event, because yeah, we did go to a party at a place called Penthouse in Dubai, and it was fun. And it was with a bunch of pickleball people. And so when I saw that pickleball.com post, I was like,
Do they know? Do they know it was called the Penthouse?
Like, it honestly sounds like a game of telephone where each person exaggerated it more and more, and each person that fed it slowly to pickleball.com hated PWR more and more. So the details got more salacious as it got passed from telephone to telephone, and then it ended up as like Fire Festival 2.0, Pran's a party boy. But I don't know what the truth is. Who knows? But it is weird that there were like penthouses and parties and travel. It's like, well, I traveled to a party at a place called Penthouse, and it seemed legit to me. It was a welcome party, and like everyone had fun, and it was a good way to kick it off. So I don't know.
Fair. I mean, like, Pran's got a reputation as somebody who balls out, right? Like we've heard that on the Pro Tour. That one in particular, Penthouse party travel, like, okay, yeah, that's all those boxes are checked. But there's been some legendary.
It's a convenient arrangement of keywords. That's all I'm gonna say. Like,
yeah. Yep. All right. Well, we will monitor this one. That's for sure. I'm interested here. Somebody's bullshitting. That's the end of the story. Like, somebody is bullshitting, whether it's the players, whether it's PWR, like somebody's got shit in their pants. Pickle pod.
Yeah.
Yeah.